In a Nuzlocke, if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead forever, no healing in battle, and to top that all off, every single Pokemon and their abilities are completely random, meaning I could find God. Pause now to read the rest of the rules on screen. After two strangers break into my house, we get to pick our starter. Our choices are questionable at best, but luckily we have Conkeldurr, who is a phenomenal encounter, especially this early on. We fight some strangers and Elle makes our bond official and gives us Pokeballs. Our first encounter of the run is a Nidoran male who I decided to name Brawl1, and he has the ability Rain Dish. And then some guy has a cult meeting or something. To be honest, I'm not really sure, but I know it's important later. Anyway, Strongman N challenges us out of nowhere. He's a Budew who I outspeed and hit a Pound, which does massive damage. It just goes for a growth. On the next turn, another Pound takes it out and wins us the battle against the King. And then we fail our Tampole encounter, which sucks. From here we have to fight Bianca. She leads with an Electrike who can just be killed off with a Pound. Her Piplup can also be taken out with a couple Pounds, winning me the battle. Then next we have to fight Sharon. He leads off with Cacnea and I lead off with 0. A Pound does massive damage, but an Oranberry heals him back up to full. Another Pound leaves him in the red as he just goes for a weak Absorb. A Pound on the next turn is able to finish him off. His last Pokemon Cherubi comes in and gets hit hard with a Pound as it just goes for a weak tackle. Another Pound takes it out and wins us the battle. What you saw there was Child's Play, and now we have to fight the first gym leader, Silent. He leads off with a Tynamo, and I lead off with one who gets paralyzed on the first turn. Great. Luckily, I do hit my Peck for some chip damage. From here, I switch out into Zero, who gets hit with a weak Tackle. On the next turn, a Tackle does massive damage as the Eel just goes for a Charge Beam, which does very little damage. A Pound on the next turn takes it out. His last Pokemon is a Smooch, and outspeeds and hits a Pound, but my Pound does way more damage. On the next turn, I dodge a Suicune, and a Pound takes it out, winning me the first gym badge of the playthrough. There's a Team Plasma Gauntlet after this, but I'm skipping it because most of the battles were easy. We have to go fight Sharon. He leads off with a Nidoran, and I lead off with Machop. I hit some chip damage as he hits a very hard low kick. From here, I switch into Zero as Machop sets up a Focus Energy. This is a big problem. I then go for a Pound, hit decent damage as Machop restores its HP with a berry and hits a Leer. From here, I hit another Pound as Machop goes for another low kick. From here, another Pound takes out the Gray Fighting Monster. His last Pokemon is Rattata, with a soft quick attack before I can take it out with a low kick, winning me the battle and the hardest fight of the run thus far. Bianca under Infinite Wisdom gets her Pokemon stolen, but hey, at least I end up catching a Hoothoot, which is a great encounter for later on because of its Psychic type. And then I catch a Zigzagoon, who I forgot to record me encountering, so yeah. Then I catch a Grimer, who is an okay encounter. And then Zigzagoon and Hoothoot both evolve, which is incredible to get encounters right before the second level cap. My fossil encounter actually ends up being a Gible, who is a great encounter. From here, we can fight the second gym leader. Lorona leads off with a Licky Licky, and I lead off with Linoone, who fires a crit headbutt doing massive damage and gets the flinch. Another headbutt on the next turn takes out the Pink Pervert. Refura comes in and hits a Leer as I hit a headbutt for around a third of the damage. As the next turn I hit a headbutt which knocks out Furo into the yellow as Furo retaliates with a hard aerial ace. On the next turn a headbutt takes the damn thing, winning me the battle. Outside of Pinwheel we can pick up a Cherubi, who is a great encounter for later on in the playthrough. Inside Pinwheel we can actually pick up a Pikachu. Even in a randomizer you can't escape the rat. And then we get to my favorite part in any Pokemon game, Sky Bridge. I'm in such a better mood after hearing this bridge. Great. And then Bianca's Pokemon gets stolen. Rudy grew her. Let's go fight the third gym leader, Burke. He leads off with Cranidos, who outspeeds and hits a takedown before I can take it out with a low kick from Zero. His next Pokemon is a Grundle, so I go for a Leer as it hits a very hard headbutt. The Leer means I can kill the dog on the next turn with a low kick. Lileep comes in, so I end up switching a Gible for his debut battle, and then Lileep sets up an Ingrain. Ingrain actually restores HP every single turn. On the next turn I go for a Slash, which is minimal damage, as he goes for an Astonish. On the next turn I set up a Sandstorm to power my ground type attacks, and then Lileep hits another weak Astonish. On the next turn I go for a Sandstorm, which is decent damage as Lileep hits another weak Astonish. On the next turn Sandstorm leaves it in the yellow as it goes for, you guessed it, an Astonish. Another Sand Attack leaves it in the red HP as it goes for another Astonish. Burke then heals again, and I won't waste your time, and after a while of repeating the same process we end up killing it and wins us the third gym badge of the playthrough. From here there are rival fights with both Bianca and Sharon, but for time's sake I'm gonna have to cut them. And then there's a Finneon encounter. Finneon knows Attract, but that's about it, so I'm not really upset about this encounter. But what Finneon lacks, Sheldon has, and I end up catching Sheldon. And then from here, Aang just kind of casually confesses that he's the Lord of Team Plasma. And then it's really weird. Like, he just admits that he's the Lord of Team Plasma. And then challenges me. He leads off with a Timber, and I lead off with Zero. I go for a low kick, which does decent damage, as he just goes for some chip with a wake up slap. A low kick on the next turn takes out the Gerber baby. Slowpoke comes in, so I go for a rock throw, which just goes for some chip for a growl. On the next turn, I go for a rock throw, which actually crits and takes out the Slowpoke. Shelmet comes in, and I hit a hard rock throw, as it just goes for a curse. A rock throw on the next turn takes the shot out. Bisharp comes in and hits a soft feint attack. A rock throw actually ends up critting, doing about a third. On the next turn, I strike off a feint attack, and a low kick does massive damage, which takes it out and wins me the battle against Lord An, which is such a weird name, so why not go with King An or something? And then Gabite evolves, but unfortunately I did forget to record it. After this, we can fight off Elsa. She leads off with a Soul Rock, and I lead off with Zero. I set up a Bulk Up to both raise my attack and defense, as it just goes for a Rock Polish to raise its speed. Soul Rock then hits a Soft Rock Tomb, as I hit a low kick. Thanks to the Bulk Up boost, it kills the rock before it can do anything scary. Claydol comes in and hits a very hard side beam, as I go for a low kick, doing a lot of damage. From here, I switch into Gabite, who gets hit hard by a side beam. And then I go for a Slash, doing little damage as I get hit with a Soft Rock Tomb. Since I'm dead to side beam crit, I switch into Lanoon as Claydol heals. A headbutt to soft damage as Claydol hits a Rock Tomb, which does little damage but lowers my speed. On the next turn, Claydol hits a hard side beam, but then my headbutt actually ends up critting. And then the Future Sight takes me out. Rest well, buddy. I switch into Pikachu and Cerebro Barrel. A Thundershock does decent damage as it goes for a hard Hyper Fang. So I switch into Sheldon for his debut battle. By the way, I forgot to nickname him. And then miss a rollout. But then a takedown does about a third of HP as I switch into Notcow, who gets hit hard by a crit water gun. From here, Elsa decides to heal, which is very annoying. And, well, I go for a Confusion, as it goes for Hyper Fang, which almost takes me out. I decide I have to hit another Confusion and then sack off my Notcow. And then I switch back into Zero, who can shrug off a Hyper Fang and then go for a Rock Throw, killing the stupid barrel, winning me the battle. But not without 2 deaths, Riplanoon and Hoot Hoot. Nidoran joins the team and Cherubi also joins the team. And then Charon decides to challenge us. He leads off with a Pidgeot, and I lead off with Zero. I shrug off a Gust, and a Rock Throw does massive damage and takes the bird out. Lunatone comes in and then puts me to sleep. From here, I switch into Cherry Pie, who's managed to shrug off a Rock Throw. On the next turn, I do go for the Wine Plant Wipe, and then almost kills it, but Lunatone then decides to heal the Berry and then put me asleep. While I stay asleep, Lunatone sets up a Rock Polish to raise his speed. On the next turn, Rock Tomb hits me as I stay asleep. On the next turn, Lunatone hits another Rock Throw, but I wake up and hit a Magical Leaf, which takes out the moon. Squirtle comes in, but obviously a Magical Leaf takes it out. Munchlax comes in, and this thing is so bulky that a Magical Leaf only does a third. Munchlax is Speed Boost, which is a tricky ability to deal with. On the next turn, I switch into Zero, hoping to wake up. But no dice, Munchlax hits a Lick while also raising its speed. On the next turn, I stay asleep, but luckily Munchlax can't really do anything. After a while of sleep turns, I wake up and I kill the Fat Boy with a low kick, winning me the battle. After this, a man makes me and Charon battle some little kids, which is kind of weird when you think about it. And then I managed to catch a Riolu, who's a great Pokemon outside the Quaritch facility. Store. And then we can go bust Team Plasma. I'm not sure what they're doing. It seems pretty sketchy, but I'm not sure. And then Bastiodon evolves. Nice. After a weird encounter, we can go fight Elon Musk's dad. Surprising no kids here. Just kidding. Anyway, Elon leads off with a Eevee, and I lead off with Riolu. I go for a Force Palm, which leaves Eevee with just a slower of HP as he goes for a Sand Attack. Elon then heals, and a Force Palm does way less damage this time, but it does get that paralysis, which is great. On the next turn, Eevee then wastes another potion, and a Force Palm lives it again with another sliver. Eevee then hits a Quake Attack, but then another Force Palm takes it out. Reuniclus is his next Pokemon, and this guy can actually be pretty tough to deal with. So I decided my best bet would be to switch out into Bastiodon, who can fairly wall him pretty well. The Cell then goes for a Future Sight, which can be very deadly because if you're not careful. And then it outspeeds and hits a very, very, very hard Psyshock, which is a big problem because if enough of these happen, I can die. I go for a Takedown, which does very little damage. Just Cell outspeeds and then hits a side beat before I can go for a Rock Throw. Or an Ancient Power. I'm writing the script right now. I completely forgot and I don't feel like editing this in. Anyway, we're on the yellow HP and a Future Sight does massive damage. So again, I'm kind of forced to switch out into Zero. Now, this may seem dumb, and it actually is, but I have really no play here. I'm pretty dumb. So Reuniclus actually goes up and sets a Future Sight, and I go for a Chip Away. It leaves it in just the red HP as it just goes for a frickin' recover, man. I'm sorry. Luckily, my Chip Away does decent damage, and then I hit another Chip Away, which leaves in the yellow HP as it goes for a Psyshock, leaving me on just 6 HP, but then the hail from Bastiodon takes me out. Rip my starter, man. Oh, that really stung. I switch out into Cherubi, who is fairly well, and then I hit a Magical Leaf, which kills it, finally. Clay's last Pokemon is a Haunter, and this thing's famous for spamming Confuse Ray, so it just does that, and it connects, and of course I hit myself in confusion because I haven't suffered enough this battle. Since I realize I'm probably going to get confused the entire battle, I switch out into 6, who can easily set up a Sandstorm and dispatch a thing of a Rock Tomb, winning me the 5th Gym Badge. From here, we have to go fight Bianca. She leads off with her purple Talotubble, and I lead off with Riolu. Ambipom outspeeds and hits a Swift before I can kill the ape with a Force Palm. Uh-oh. I'm sure this won't come back to bite me in the ass later. Wobbuffet comes in, and this thing's a Nuzlocke killer, so I have to tread lightly. I switch into Bastiodon as Wobbuffet goes for a Destiny Bond. Uh-oh. I have favorites, and Bastiodon is one of them, so I'm gonna have to switch out into something here. After a while, I switch into Cherry Pie, because honestly, she's not one of my favorites. So, oh well. On the next turn, a Magical Leaf does about half damage as it goes for a Counter, which fails, because Counter is special. On the next turn, I go for a Growth to raise my special attack, as Wobbuffet goes for a Counter, which also fails. I go for a Growth again, and well, after a while, I'm able to one-shot the Wobbuffet. I didn't die here, I'm not sure why, because Wobbuffet did go for a Destiny Bond. From here, I'm able to sweep all of Barry's Pokemon, winning me the battle. And then we meet Skyla, who's making us ring a bell for some reason. Not sure, I wasn't really paying attention, but oh well. I don't know what's going on here, oh well. And then I find a Golduck, who is a great encounter because we are lacking that water type. And he also gets great moves like Ice Beam. And then we can go fight Skyla, the 6th gym leader, who gave me such a hard time my first playthrough of Pokemon Black. Skyla leads off with Muscle Man, and I lead off with Golduck. Since Golduck was blessed for a Psychic move, I click that and does a third, as Machop just goes for a soft Vital Throw. And then I switch into Nidoran, who shrugs off a Vital Throw. I stay in and set up a Toxic Spike, as Machoke hits a Soft Revenge. I then set up another lair, as Machoke hits another Revenge. On the next turn, I hit a Horn Attack, as another Vital Throw leaves me with 15 HP. Another Horn Attack leaves Machoke with a Sliver, as it hits a Vital Throw, killing me. Oh well. So I send in my Landshark, as Skyla heals her Buffman. I go for a Bulldoze, doing about a third. Another Bulldoze leaves Machoke with about a sliver of HP as it goes for a Vital Throw. And then it heals again. I go for that Bulldoze and then leave it on just red HP, and then it almost kills me. Luckily, I'm able to take it out on the next turn. Oh boy, Spiritomb comes in, and this thing's kind of annoying. But it gets poisoned thanks to spikes, so I switch out into Bastiodon. Who can wall Spiritomb actually fairly well. What you see in the next couple turns is just me whittling it down with Leech Seed, Poison Heal, and a bunch of other stuff. Torkoal comes in, so I switch into Golduck because of the obvious water typing. I don't know why I was kind of contemplating this. It's not like I had any other good Pokemon here. And then I could kill it with a Surf, winning me the battle and the 6th gym badge of the playthrough. And then comes back and tries to kill us for some reason. To be honest, I don't know why he confessed to the fact that he was actually part of Team Plasma. Kinda weird. And then we get the HM for Surf, which is great because it gives Golduck a stab move. Hey, would you look at that? And then in the cave, I actually end up getting an Ampharos, which is a very solid encounter for later on in the playthrough because of the electric type. Then we can take on the 3rd gym leader, Bryson. We challenge him right after Skyla. He leads off with Electros, and I lead off with my Bastiodon. I go for a Bulldoze, but Electros outspeeds and hits a soft discharge while my Bulldoze is basically nothing. On the next turn, Electros hits another discharge as I hit a very soft Bulldoze, which should do more damage. So, realizing I'm pretty bad, I switch into Riolu by accident and get killed by a discharge. Oh well. So I switch on to Gible, who avenges his comrade by killing the thing with a Bulldoze. Bisharp comes in, and a bulldoze is about half health as it hits a medical. A follow-up bulldoze on the next turn manages to take it out. Ironically, his next Pokemon is a Lucario, so what I end up doing is switching into Cherry Pie and set up a Leech to regain some health chip. On the next turn, I set up a Growth as Lucario goes for a very selfish me first. I then set up a couple more Growths until Cherry Pie can take out the Magical Leaf, winning me the battle and the 7th gym badge. Well, I think this is a good time to end the video personally. There's still a lot more left to do, and the Elite Four is like 10 minutes by itself. So, oh well. Sorry for the lack of an intro. We just some post-production problems, that's all. It should be fixed by the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave a comment saying that you did all that, and I'll get back to you and shout you out in the next video. Until then, I'm Braylon as never, and I don't have a quote or anything, so I'm gonna steal flag on HGs. Remember to always play around the critical hit or something like that.